beginning of our meeting solely for the purpose of making a motion to go into executive session to discuss a number of matters. Is there a motion to go into executive session to discuss review of tenure for employees eligible for tenure, discussion of attorney-client information, pending litigation, and student matters? Is there a motion? Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Scragg. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. We are going to go into executive session. We anticipate reconvening at 7:30 p.m. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We have a packed agenda, lots of celebrating tonight and lots of new business, so we'll get right to it. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening. We got a great crowd tonight. Good to see everyone. And we're going to get right to it without much discussion. Our first group up today is our Oakwood Primary School, who is going to help us celebrate First Responders Month. Dr. McCallion.
Aren't they just so cute? Look at them. We're so happy to be here this evening with all of you. Good evening, Dr. D'Elia, Mr. Ciapetta, members of the Board of Education and Cabinet, families, students, staff, and the South Huntington community. We are honored to be joined tonight by our incredible Oakwood second graders, along with their teachers, Miss Mosia, Mrs. Wright, Miss Jones, and Miss Cleet. Together, we are here to share a special presentation recognizing and honoring our local first responders. As we approach May, First Responder Appreciation Month, it is a privilege to take this moment to thank our local heroes for everything they do for our community. A special thank you to Oakwood's music educator, Ms. Morabito, and our classroom teachers who are here with us this evening in helping to prepare this beautiful tribute and presentation. In our primary classrooms, we often talk about community helpers. While our students are busy mastering their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, they are also observing the world around them to learn what it truly means to be a hero. This month, Oakwood has been buzzing with gratitude. Our students have been busy creating handmade thank you cards to deliver to our local fire and police stations, as well as the Huntington Community First Aid Squad. For our youngest learners, first responders are the earliest examples of selfless service. Their presence and care are felt in our buildings and community every day.
To begin our presentation, our students will share the ABCs of first responders. This will be followed by a performance of the song Heroes by Alesso and Tovlo, a piece that perfectly captures our deep appreciation. We invite you to sit back and enjoy this tribute from the hearts of our youngest learners.
A is for always, because you are always ready to help 24 hours a day. B is for brave, for always facing your fears to help others. C is for chameleon, because you will make your town a safe place to live and play. D is for dispatchers, for being the calm voice on the phone when people need help. E is for EMS, for the medics who take care of us in emergencies. F is for firefighters, for protecting our homes and families from fire. G is for gear, for wearing heavy suits and helmets to stay safe. H is for heroes because you don't need a cape to be a superhero. I is for inspirational, for being someone we look up to. J is for just in time, for getting to emergencies as fast as you can.
K is for kindness, for caring for people when they need you. L is for lifesavers, for the amazing work you do every single time. M is for mission, because you make it your goal to help others. N is for neighbors, because you are our friends and neighbors too. O is for officers, for the police who keeps our streets and schools safe. P is for partners, because first responders are part of a team.
Q is for qualities because these are the superpowers first responders have, like being brave, kind, and strong.
R is for rescue, is for helping people or pets to find their way back home.
S is for science, that sound that let us know help is on the way.
T is for training, for practicing every day so you are always ready. U is for the clothes that show us you are a helper. V is for valiant, a big word that means you are very, very brave. W is for wisdom, because first responders use their wisdom to make good choices and keep people safe. X is for extraordinary, because there is no one else quite like you. Young is for young fans, because all of us in second grade want to be like you. Z is for zero hesitation, because you never wait to do the right thing. Thank you for listening to our ABC of First Responders. Next, we will sing Heroes by Alyssa and Joy.
Let's give these amazing second graders another round of applause. Thank you guys so much. They worked so hard, and this was a really special performance for us here at Oakwood. So thank you to all of our community, and thank you to everyone who's here this evening. To our Oakwood families, if you would like to join us outside to head home if you'd like to, or you're welcome to stay, but the kids will be outside in the hallway. Thank you.
Regina, can you put those behind the keys? So, can you distribute those behind the keys? So it's all right. Item number 2. We have a Eagle Scout proposal, and we have a 11th grade student at Walt Whitman High School who's going to make a presentation to the board on his proposed project. He visited the facilities committee last week and has a great presentation to improve the orchestra room. So Derek Bush. Derek, come on up.
Hello. Can everyone hear me? Oh, nice. Hello everyone. I'm Derek Bush, and I'm trying to get my Eagle Scout rank, and for that I have to do a service project, which I'm doing for this school. Now, I'm gonna be redesigning the orchestra closet in the orchestra room, which right now is pretty much a disaster. They have, pretty much. As in the picture of that's a picture I took of I think I took that a little less than a month ago.
It's a disaster, yeah.
Now, I'm going to be redesigning it, and that includes repainting the walls. I'm going to be building 4 shelves to go in there, bookcase style, to hold music, paper, possibly small instruments or repair items, possibly kids' bags, and also a base rack to hold bases. And that's all.
Great.
Those are pictures of the design.
Thank you. Yeah, we've helped you out. I think you wanted to do some floor work, but we'd already taken care of that for you. So we're
Yeah,
just
thank
left
you.
with the closet, and we look forward to your good work. Just get a consensus of the board. Everyone good?
I was just gonna say that the picture you showed of the orchestra room reminds me of the movie Star Wars, where Luke Skywalker, they all fell into that garbage chute and it was scratched. That's what it looks like, so, yeah.
It's rough, yeah.
Wasn't planned.
Everyone good? Good. Thank you, Derek. We'll sign your
Thank you.
certificate. Hopefully I signed it in the right spot. All right. And 4/21/26. Good luck. Thank you. Great job. All right. Don't forget to invite us to your court of honor. All right. Next up, we got a lot today. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we welcome back our girls varsity basketball team to the James Caden Administrative Offices. Celebrating our girls varsity basketball team has felt like now an annual rite of spring. After a year break, the girls were once again the best of Suffolk County, which makes 3 Suffolk County championships in the last 4 years. And that makes you a dynasty in my book. This year was particularly impressive as you dominated your opponents on a way to an unprecedented, undefeated league record. The team played unselfish basketball with seemingly a different scorer leading the way every night, and they presented their opponents with suffocating defense. Along the way, you played with poise, passion, and demonstrated great sportsmanship. Even in defeat, and maybe especially in defeat, you demonstrated the heart of a champion. In the Long Island Championship, you were down significantly to a tremendous team at the end of the first half, but you scratched and clawed your way back like a wildcat the entire rest of the game and got it within 5 or 6 points. You represented yourselves, your school, and the entire South Huntington community with pride and distinction. The only problem with your continued winning is that it's becoming very difficult to find new types of awards to commemorate your success. But we've done our best tonight, and we have a token of appreciation for your tremendous season. Tonight we present each of you, along with your coaches, Mr. Dan Trebor, Ralph Milazzo, Kieran Elmore, Tina Abendondolo, and our fabulous athletic trainer, Peter White, with a framed team photo and a key to the district. Once again, on behalf of the Board of Education, we congratulate you, and we look forward to seeing you back again here, same time, same place.
No pressure.
We have a lot of other people who are going to honor you tonight, but first I'd like to bring up a special guest from the town of Huntington, our town of Huntington Councilman, Dr. David Bernardo, to say a few words about the varsity basketball team.
Hello, everyone. I'll do I know you don't want to hear from an elected official tonight, so I promise I won't do that. So what I'll just do is say congratulations. First, we'll start with the women's basketball team. Amazing coaches. I don't know how you do it year after year. I remember when I first came here, and your athletic director told me that this is a coach that gets the best out of what he has every year. And I'd say that's the best way to describe you and your staff. And ladies, I got to see you play this boy. I got to see that smashing, the beating you put on him, and it was amazing. And I just was so impressed. Quality young women, quality coaches, great families, make for a great team. So congratulations to you. And while I'm up here, so you don't have to hear me again, Mike, 150-pound champion. To go, I guess it makes going a whole winter without eating any of the celery worth it. But congratulations. I remember when we used to watch you with the Wildcat Wrestling, when it was all going on. I remember watching what a talented kid you were then and seeing you grow into a champion. Not surprised. So congratulations, Mike. Congratulations, ladies, coaches, and best of luck to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bernardo. I know our superintendent would like to say a couple words as well. Dr. D'Elia?
All right, real briefly. Girls, congratulations on another great year. I know you played the big bad Baldwin in the Long Island Championship, and I know that deficit got pretty big in the second quarter, but what you showed was tremendous heart and determination. You never gave up, and you made that a game. So you never quit, and that I think is what embodies the basketball team. So thank you, girls. Coaches, once again, thank you. Mr. Ciapetta did not put any pressure on you for next year. Whatever you could do, you do. We're going to be super proud of you. So congratulations, girls. Thank you.
All right, our next presenter will be not Dr. yet, Mr. David Barth.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. I'd like to thank Dr. D'Elia and Cabinet, as well as Mr. Ciapetta and the Board of Education for their continued support of our athletics program and the opportunity to be here tonight and honor our athletes for their success. Tonight, I'm here to honor our incredible success from the Winter County Champions. First up, we have Coach Trebor, his coaching staff, and the student athletes from the girls varsity basketball team. As you heard, another incredible year, third county championship in 4 seasons. And something to make note of as well, they had the highest team GPA from the winter season with an average of 101.4. An incredible accomplishment. Everything we strive for. Everything we strive for here, Walt Whitman, success on the court, success in the classroom, and congratulations to all. Well done. So when we call your name, please come up and receive your awards from Mr. Ciapetta. Lillian Montana. Olivia Coble. And I know it's AP season. We have some people not here tonight, but we'll still honor everybody. Yes, Lil, will you stay up there? Somebody will join you soon. Isabella Fiorelli.
Congratulations.
Doctor. Ariana White. Avery Hiller. Our Newsday Suffolk County Player of the Year, I know she's not here tonight, but Jasmine Julian. Lila Bowen, she's not here as well. Madeline Fisher. Megan Light. Megan's not here. Hannah Creighton.
Congratulations.
Paige Hiller.
Congratulations.
Madison Richter. Nevin Latren.
Congratulations.
Priscilla Kenny. And our staff for the team, our wonderful athletic trainer, Mr. Pete White. Assistant coach Tina Abadondolo. Coach Kieran Elmore. I know he's not here with us tonight. Coach Ralph Malazzo. And head coach Dan Trebor. All good.
All right, I ask the Board of Education, our superintendent, to come up for a victory photograph. And stay in the crowd. We have a celebration video as well for you, as traditionally we do. Yeah. Don't leave, we got the video, so. All right, it's been a very successful season, and in addition to our team success that we had this winter, we also had great individual success. And tonight we celebrate the tremendous accomplishments of Walden High School varsity wrestler Michael McGinnis. Mr. McGinnis is the pride of our wrestling team, and he came into the season with a singular goal in mind: to be crowned county champion. And on Sunday, February 15th, he accomplished that goal. Michael then went on to place fourth at the New York State Wrestling Championships, on his way to earning his second All-State recognition and a spot on the prestigious Newsday All-Long Island team. And he became the first individual county champion in any weight class for the boys since 2017. So it's been a long time coming. Congratulations, Michael. Tonight, we will also present you with a key to the school district and a framed photo demonstrating your success. And as a junior, we know great things are ahead for you still here, as well as when you leave our halls at Walden High School. Once again, congratulations. We look forward to seeing you here next year. And I'd like to introduce again Dr. D'Elia to say a couple words.
Once again, congratulations, Michael, and to the entire wrestling team. I know you had a great season, you had a great experience, and I see all of you here supporting Michael. Congratulations, 2 years in a row going to the state, and I know you make the third one a charm. Great job. Thank you.
For a few more words about Michael, I'd like to bring up our athletic director again, Mr. David Barth.
Thank you. So as Mr. Ciapetta said, Michael joined an elite group of wrestlers at Walt Whitman history. He became the first boys wrestler since 2017 to win a county championship and just the 32nd wrestler to earn this title since 1956. An incredible wrestling career thus far, built on years of perseverance, commitment, and dedication. And the best part, he is not done yet, as he's just a junior. Congratulations to his coaching staff, Coach Patrovich, Coach McHugh, Coach Buciello, and Coach Vasquez, who are with us tonight in the back, for your guidance and leadership in Michael's pursuit for a championship. Michael, congratulations. We look forward to following your continued success next season. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael McGinnis.
We'll take a picture with Michael as well. Mr. Barth, want to come in?
Thank you.
Yep, and the coaches as well, and Dr. Murphy.
Coach McHugh, Coach Pavlovich, Coach Vasquez.
Coaches can go like behind on the stands. And the board members can kind of stare as well. So you like going up there. Dave, Mr. Barker, you want to have something?
Oh, come on, down here. I gotta go up there.
You two are too tall to stand next to each other. Okay, look right here, everyone. Perfect. Congratulations.
All right, while we're queuing up our highlight video for Michael and the girls, just want to explain a little bit about these ceremonies, how you get it. Obviously, it's very, very difficult and very prestigious. Essentially, the criteria for board recognition is county championship and above, so it's very, very hard to get that. And we really like to make a big deal out of it because it's such a great accomplishment. In addition to these individual certificates and your key to the district, also around our great maroon rock outside our stadium are bricks. And so every county championship team gets a brick now, and we've gone back throughout our whole district history, and we've added a brick for each team there. So our teams will be memorialized in many different ways. right, thank you everyone for who helped put this ceremony together, and congratulations to our winter champions. One more round of applause. All right. You can stay, but feel free to head out if you like. One, two, three, four. All right, rolling along. Next, got a lot here. Curriculum presentation. So shifting gears a little bit, but something that is going to be equally important and coming down the road very soon, something that our district has been working very hard on for a number of months now under the leadership of Assistant Superintendent Amanda Kavanaugh. So we're going to talk about Portrait of the Graduate and what that means for our district. Ms. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Just give it a second for the slides to load. So this is a project that we actually started working on last June. And so we brought together a committee of people. If you're not aware, New York State has recently announced some changes to graduation requirements. And so this presentation will be a combination of the New York State changes and also how South Huntington is approaching that. Okay. Slides are there. So you'll see here tonight, as I mentioned, an overview of the New York Inspires plan and South Huntington's vision for the Portrait of a Wildcat and Pathways to Graduation. So in November of 2024, New York State released a statement about a plan to transform education in New York State. There's really four main components to the New York Inspires plan, which include adopting a New York State Portrait of a Graduate, redefining our credit requirements and learning experiences, sunsetting diploma assessment requirements, and moving to one New York State high school diploma. If you notice, there's only one check mark so far. So the state is releasing this information slowly and really doing a phased-in approach over the course of multiple years. Some of the items we don't actually even have additional information on. We just know that it's part of the plan and that we will be receiving more information on. So tonight I will update you on what we know so far. And like I said, there will be more to come. So for South Huntington, when this was released, we started having conversations internally about what this would mean for us as a district. Obviously, we didn't want to put the cart before the horse and start this work before we really had critical information, but we knew that we had to follow this, and we knew that we needed to bring together a group of stakeholders to really tackle and address things as they came up. So like I mentioned earlier, in June of 25, we brought together about 40 stakeholders, including parents, teachers, administrators, and different members of the community, to really, first and foremost, really understand what's coming out from the state. So each time the state releases new information, this group of people is working together to analyze it and figure out how does this impact us here in South Huntington. And a main component of this is really to make sure that the changes that come are impacting our students in the best way possible. So if 40 people wasn't enough, we expanded actually this school year to include up to 57 people sitting on this committee. And I know that that sounds overwhelming, and how can you really get 57 people in a room and come to a consensus on anything? But really what we've done is have a mix of whole group meetings and focus groups. So what we did, because, really I think for all of us, this is an overwhelming topic. The thought of changing graduation requirements that have been in place for decades is really something that we're taking very seriously. So we realized pretty quickly that we needed to establish experts in different pathway areas so that each group could really become an expert on their specific path. So we looked at the existing New York State 4+1 pathways for graduation that have existed for a long time. These include arts, CDAS, CTE. CDAS is Career Development and Occupational Studies. CTE is Career and Technical Education. Civics, Humanities, STEM, and World Languages. So we broke into groups with focus group leaders across each of those so that we could really dive deep into that information. And really, for the goals of the Vision Committee, we're looking to continuously review any updates that come from the state, create and adopt our own portrait of a graduate, or a wildcat, as we like to call it, define our South Huntington pathways to graduation, and review everything that we already have. And I think one thing I would say that we noticed throughout this whole process was that we have so many incredible things already, and I couldn't help it as I was sitting here today listening to these presentations, the civics, the different parts of the community that are already so engaged, and really a lot of this work is just about tying it all together and making sure that it's continuous across each student's education here. So one thing we obviously knew right away is if 57 people wasn't enough, we really wanted to open it up to the entire community to really get a sense of what matters here. So we sent out a survey that included staff, students, and parents and families, and we did get a nice response of almost 2,000 people submitting the survey to us. So we were able to take that information, feed it into different systems that helped us analyze what all of this information could mean to us. And as you can see, we really did have nice participation, especially from our students. So what did it say? I was actually trying to figure out how am I going to look at 2,000 different responses and really make sense of it. So this part actually took quite a bit of time, but here are some of the key findings. Critical thinking and communication were the two top attributes or qualities that each stakeholder group selected as most important. Diversity and inclusivity were the district's unique strength, and people cited it over and over again, that they were so proud of that as part of South Huntington, and it's a main component of our community. We noted that there is a gap in practical life skills, that students and their families were requesting more about personal finance. We even had a couple of requests for a course called Adulting 101, which I think my own children could benefit from as well. But leadership came back time and time again as an actual write-in response for an attribute that could be unique to us. So obviously, if New York State graduates have to have these attributes, we have to follow that. But it was put out to the community to ask, is there anything that we could include that would identify us and make us unique? And leader came back many times. And now this is blocking it, but creating the leaders of tomorrow is on the wall in this room. It's really our mantra. So we did decide to move forward with adopting that as our unique attribute for South Huntington. And again, each of our pathway groups were given information specifically to their path that would help from the survey. And we were really able to identify a lot of interesting things. So these attributes we're seeing across so many different pathways. And we started noting, wow, business isn't everything. There are components to business that we're really seeing across every single pathway. And we definitely started thinking about things in an interdisciplinary manner where we realized we really need to think of each pathway combining with others and how they connect. I will not read all of this to you, but this is just to show you we are getting information from the state little bits at a time, and each thing is actually incredibly important. So when an update happens, it typically means that the Board of Regents for New York State met, they had some sort of presentation, and then they adopted something new. So far, these are some of the things that have come, and we are following it along as it happens. But most recently in March, one of the new requirements that came out is that personal finance education is a requirement now moving into 26, 27, and nobody here was arguing about that. You know, I think we saw in our own survey that there was a strong need for that. So next year, the requirement is for grades 5 through 12, and the following year it is then required for K to 4. So those are just some of the updates as they come. This presentation will be live on our website, so if you want to click all those different links that say presentation, need to know, there's plenty more information where this came from. So as I mentioned, the first part that was checked off the list, New York State adopted a portrait of a graduate. The portrait includes 6 attributes, and an attribute is really a skill or a quality that a student should possess upon graduation. So the 6 that the state selected are academically prepared, effective communicator, creative innovator, global citizen, critical thinker, and reflective and future focused. So they gave us definitions for how they feel those things should be carried out and what that should look like. And then we put our own stamp on it. So this is our portrait of a wildcat. We did take a little bit of liberty with the wildcat. Dr. Murphy's coming to terms with that. But we had to make him a little friendlier, a little softer, so that he could really be a representative to all of our schools. And we did use the actual one that was created by Dr. Murphy and the PR team to create this one. So we have all of those different attributes within our own, and then we also included leader. At the center, you'll notice culturally responsive. That is actually, if I go back one slide, the core of New York State. So that is something that the state has really put a ton of emphasis on and really wants that as the core of the portrait. So we did keep that. We turned our hands into our South Huntington colors, and we did put our logo in there. So on the right, you have an image that just shows a poster that will be made available in our schools so that all students are able to see this. I do have a few copies because I know it's hard to see. If anybody wants them, I'll put them on the table. So pathway development. This has been really the crux of our work, really looking at the pathways as they exist right now and how we could further connect them across the buildings. And I think something that the state has been very clear about is this is not a high school initiative. This is pre-K through 12. This is something that involves every student. And so when we got into our focus groups, it was very important for us to include representatives from the elementary version of our elementary buildings and really have people involved throughout. When we took a look at things, we also noticed it can't all be about coursework. Because when we talk about our elementary buildings, the coursework is very fixed. There's not typically a lot of elective opportunities. So we talked about field trips, we talked about extracurricular activities, we talked about presenters and people that can come in, events like tonight, where our students can engage in a civic action and responsibility. And a lot of our pathways have multiple branches. So we're really seeing this in the terms of the tree. So you'll see that depicted throughout the different images. So again, one of the things that we had at each of our large group meeting was presentations from each of our focus group leaders and what they were able to do based on reviewing the current practices in the district, everything that was coming out from the state, is they're making an attempt to connect the dots, so to speak. So they are looking at programs, they're identifying where we might have, an area where there's not something available in that path at a specific grade level, and then they're providing us with recommendations as to what we could do to make this more connected. In addition to that, we're looking at higher education and college and career to really connect those opportunities for our students. But it's so important to note, and I'm going to say this multiple times, this work will be ongoing and continuous. So we're never going to really be finished with this. And if anybody here knows me, they could speak to this. It comes up in almost every conversation that I'm having. They're all laughing at me because every single thing connects. And it's really something that this has really changed the way I'm looking at education. And it's been so incredible to be a part of. But on the right, you can see these are some images from some of our focus groups. You have CTE. We're exploring right now opportunities for culinary arts, opportunities for automotive, opportunities for things that our students are really interested in and how we could bring them to the district. In humanities, we're looking at some different branches with literature, communication, writing, language. And in STEM, we have some interesting branch opportunities here. Health and medical was actually the #1 most requested thing on the survey from our students. We have a lot of students who are interested in the medical field, and that's actually someplace where we really could use some expansion. So this was a great opportunity to dig into that. Digital innovation was also an area where the students are very interested in the world of artificial intelligence, computer science, engineering. And so those are our 3 pathways within STEM that we're really solidifying and making sure that they start as early on as possible. So I would like to invite Dr. Murphy up to talk a little bit about our core pathway development.
Thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh. So as we will learn more from the state, one of the things that teachers and myself and pretty much every educator is worried about is what is a graduation, what does a diploma look like? Because the state is changing what the face of that looks, where we saw a Regents diploma was you had 2 tracks. You either had a regular Regents diploma or you had an advanced Regents diploma with a local diploma for other ones, which would be pretty much your scale. With that being said, we've been working to model what the Regent diploma was with some caveats to it. So where we go, well, is it going to be more credits, going to be less? What we can tell you right now is that it will be the same amount of credits it would be for what we would have for a normal Regents diploma. It would just be a diploma from South Huntington or Walt Whitman High School. But we also have an opportunity to really change the face of this. And what we're doing is we're looking to see how an advanced or an upper level diploma would look like and how we can make sure that students are college and career ready. So enforcing some abilities and classes that will get them better prepared for post-secondary college or programs. Also making sure that there's a focus on either college level coursework or APs. But I have to tell you, even though this is a high school diploma, or we're talking about diploma credits, this is really a culmination of all those skills, because the one thing that I think the new diploma requirements are looking at is it's not just what you do 9th through 12th grade. It's what you do from preschool to 12th grade and how those skills are scaffolded and built upon each other. And these are the things why when you're going to start looking in these at this portrait of a graduate and all those elements, even though they're 2 separate things, meaning a diploma and a portrait, what they are is portrait is really a diploma is a culminating of all the skills they learned from this portrait and how each grade level and each subject area helps support that. So as we continue to go, students will still be acknowledged for higher level coursework, meaning an advanced diploma. It's just going to look different. You're not going to see a advanced Regents diploma or a Regents diploma. You're going to see a South Huntington or a Walt Whitman diploma, and what we do to make sure that our students are challenged properly and that they're getting the education they need to be successful outside of our school district.
I would also like to bring up Mr. Blair, who will speak a little bit about our college transition. Mr. Blair is our supervisor of guidance K-12, so this is a really great area for him to really think about all of these different students as they transition through each level of our school district. How are we preparing them for what's beyond South Huntington? I'll go this way this time.
Thank you. So 46 wasn't enough stakeholders, so I added a few more. So typically we came up with an idea where we wanted to have additional colleges and universities involved with this, because at Walt Whitman High School there are over 50 courses that are considered dual enrollment, where you can sit in the class and also have the opportunity to gain additional college credits after you graduate high school. And so I spoke to Ms. Kavanaugh, and I said I would like to invite the local colleges and universities. And so I reached out to them. Immediately they said, yes, we would love to come, because this is the first time where a school district actually, they were invited in to see exactly the work that we were doing, the hard work that we were all doing, and they were very impressed. And as what Dr. Joe Senimore would always say, we had a robust conversation with everyone. And some of the takeaways that we got from this, from the meeting that we had was, first, colleges and universities, they're not focused on grades. They're not hyper-focused on grades. They're looking at students with passion and purpose, which everything that we're doing with the portrait of a graduate from the kindergarten, 1st grade, all the way up to high school and graduating, we're looking at the development of the child as a whole. Next, the employability is the new currency. Certifications and micro-credentials, that's what colleges and universities are looking at. And that's what we have here in South Huntington. We look at BOCES programs that we've brought in, so this way students can not only get what they're learning in class, but they can also get some information and experience outside of the classroom, but from local communities. And colleges and universities are focused on high-demand career sectors and combining them. So Long Island University and Farmingdale, they are combining some business classes and technology classes, so this way they can have students that are prepared once they exit out of their college or university. And South Huntington, that's what we're always trying to do, because we want students to be college and career ready, so we are always looking at additional courses to add. And last but not least, colleges and universities, they ultimately want what's learned at South Huntington, they want it to be transferable. So what we learn here, we want it to be transferable for when a student exits out of here, and also college and universities, once students exit out of their universities, they want to also have them ready to be active citizens in the work world. Thank you.
That's my size. Thank you, Mr. Blair. So after the higher ed meeting, I think we had a lot of digesting to do, really had all of our focus group leaders there, and we were thinking like in a crazy brainstorm of how can we take all of this and make it relevant, because for a little while there, we were really working on this in a P12 mindset, and all of a sudden the 12 just got further away because our planning really isn't ending with 12th grade. We're really trying to put students out into the world in whatever fashion suits them the best. So after that initial conversation, we set up subsequent meetings with different colleges and universities. Again, this work is going to be ongoing because setting up these partnerships is certainly an undertaking. But I think what we're starting to do is look at things a little bit differently. So rather than having 56 different dual enrollment courses that a student can choose from, sort of like a menu, we're trying to cluster them together in sequences. And so, for example, if you're really interested in business, you could take a 12-credit sequence in business at Whitman through the same college. So you could do all of that through Farmingdale. So you're almost getting your first semester in one university out of the way before you're even graduating. So just framing it differently, you know, in a lot of these, we actually already have the courses and partnerships. It's just a matter of putting them together on a piece of paper and explaining it that way and really outlining it like that with the college. So our goal is that for each of the pathways and even branches within those pathways that will have college sequences or clusters that students would be able to access and really envision their future and have a head start before they're even leaving us. Again, I'm not going to read all of those different things, and I just picked a few, but at each of our meetings, our group leaders came and gave some recommendations and updates. This included everything from new course requests, it included partnerships with different colleges, it included adding different levels of courses, extracurricular activities, things where we identified any sort of gaps. Each time those recommendations come up, they are being shared with our board curriculum council and then coming to the board for approval before moving forward. But these things are already taking place when we plan for our courses for next year. I'm going to present a course for approval tonight that is a result of our work with the pathways. So each of our groups has presented these different things. And again, if you'd like to look more closely on our district website, there's a whole section where you can look at every one of the slideshows to see all of the information. Implications for pre-K through 5, as I mentioned, again, the state is very fixed on this being a pre-K through 12 mission. And so there was a statewide conference on the P to 5 impact. And what we're starting to see is a lot of this is very much centered on project-based learning, inquiry-based learning. These are things that we're doing, but this is asking us to really emphasize that. So really, what does this mean in early childhood? How is the portrait going to have an impact on these practices? And how can we plan for this and really set a foundation for our students? So again, all of those different underlined items are links. So if you're interested in seeing the information from the state, that is available for you as well. I couldn't put all of the next steps really on one slide because there's a lot of things to do still. But really what our goal right now, we have one more full group meeting this year. We're looking to just button up what we've been working on, which is really looking at the attributes through the lens of the pathway. So the arts, civics, humanities, etc. Looking at each grade band and figuring out what does being an effective communicator look like in 2nd grade? What does being a global citizen look like in 5th grade? And how can we identify those attributes and make sure that the students are able to demonstrate that they're able to do those different things? If I haven't said it enough, the work will be ongoing. This is going to be a continuous part of our conversation, and I promise if you're in a room with me, I will speak about this. It's just ingrained at this point. But our focus groups will continue to come together and make decisions. We are going to continue our conversations about dual enrollment and really think about how we're putting our college partnerships together. Obviously, conversations, we may come to the board and have some requests as far as extracurricular activities. How can we bring more experiences to our elementary students? Those are things that were really identified as areas of need because within, like I said, the day for an elementary student, you don't necessarily have those same opportunities, but this is something that we've come up with in the group. As these required new items come into play, as far as financial literacy, we'll be doing curriculum work as to how we'll be bringing that into our buildings. And then some professional development, right? Because we've been so in this work, and when we take our heads up and we look around, we realize we're not in it with everybody. And so as we keep expanding, part of this work will be to spread the word, make sure that people understand what we're doing and the why behind it, right? How is this important? Why does this matter to us? And really thinking about, again, project-based learning, performance-based assessment. These are some of the things that we're seeing coming from the state that are going to be essential over the next few years. And I just wanted to say thank you. I think it's, you know, we do say it, but the amount of work and effort that's gone into this, our focus group leaders have been meeting with their groups. Our board members have been sitting on this committee, so thank you so much for being there and being a part of it. And, you know, every decision we make involves this large group of people, but these are all the people coming together to work on it. So thank you to everybody. And then our little wildcat. Any questions?
The Wildcat's adorable.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's cute. Great job. Fantastic. A lot of information and very hard concepts that you distilled very well. Any questions from the board? Mr. Bronson.
Not a question, but just, I know you thanked a lot of people, but just, thank you for everybody who's been involved. I mean, it's important work, it's difficult work, it's required work, and as you said, it's ongoing. So everybody, again, community member, Ms. Kavanaugh, everybody on administration, teachers, et cetera, that's been involved, just thank you.
Thank you. If you're interested.
Thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh. That was a great presentation. Terrific. All right, we have our final presentation of the evening, just to give everyone a sneak peek. So we'll have our final presentation on the budget, which we'll vote on then later. We'll go into new business. We've got quite a few communications, and then we have only 36 items of new business. So it's a busy agenda. With that, Mr. Conway, you're on the clock.
There we go. I'll do my best to speed this along. Once again, tough acts to follow. Tonight's our fourth budget presentation in this year's series. Tonight, as you mentioned, is the budget adoption. And with that, we'll kind of jump into where we began a couple months ago, what the overall focus has been. First and foremost, students, staff, and community. Probably the hardest slide to put together was this one here. I only had room for 6 pictures, and when you look back through some of the district-wide events that PR has taken, wasn't easy to pick a few, but just thought it was a nice sampling of some of the exciting stuff going on throughout the district all year long. As far as the budget theme, our constant focus is focus on student support. That's first and foremost in any decision that's made throughout this process. We want to sustain the program offerings, which are always in the best interest of students. And in every year in the background, and especially this year more than ever with the changes in state aid, are to explore opportunities for always looking for efficiencies and effectiveness in procedures or cost savings. Of course, the reason for that is to be as fiscally responsible as possible and always mindful of the taxpayer. Some of the efficiency initiatives taken this year, I won't read them all to you. They're on our website for you to come back to and review if you're so interested. But things that we'll discuss are such as insurance reviews, transportation enhancements, special ed cost savings we went through in great detail at last meeting, short-term borrowing costs. The overall theme here is to consistently maintain these high-quality services for our students, our staff, and the community, and do our best to manage controlling of rising costs and improving efficiencies district-wide. Okay, a little bit of preview into next year as far as the levy. At our last meeting, March 25th, the board did approve a 2.4% levy for the 26-27 school year. That equals just over $3.1 million in new tax revenue for the district in next year's budget. There's a slide in a moment. We'll get into the revenue in a little further detail. And right here, 26-27 state aid. Unfortunately, we still see the word estimated up there. The state's budget was due on April 1st. That date has now long come and gone, and it's still kind of quiet in terms of any news we may hear. So these numbers are estimated figures that we've had up in a prior presentation. Long story short, since we've discussed this, is right now our foundation aid, since we are on Save Harmless, along with many other local districts in our community and surrounding areas, it's an increase at this point in time of 1%, which is $580,000 approximately. We're cautiously optimistic that what we hear, there could be an additional 1% coming, but again, too soon to speak to that definitively. And then we have our expense-based aids, our UPK aids. And there is very likely some slight fluctuation between any governor's proposed budget and the legislative budget, which we anticipate seeing hopefully sooner rather than later,
But not in time for our efforts here.
unfortunately.
The fifth consecutive late budget by the state, so.
So wrapping that into the overall revenue picture for next year. So as I mentioned, the 2.4% levy, that equates to about $132.5 million. State aid is at $77.8 million. Again, we have to take that with a grain of salt because it is a bit of a fluid number at this point. Then we have other revenues of just shy of $10.5 million. That's things such as interest income, revenue billed to other districts for health services, property rental income, employee share of health insurance, and those miscellaneous type of one-off items that we put into that category. And then we have our reserve and our appropriated fund balance, which I'll get to in a moment. And that brings a total revenue picture for next year's budget of just shy of $228 million. Speaking to the reserves that I just mentioned, for next year's budget, we're looking to spend approximately $4.3 million in reserves, broken out amongst the workers' comp, ERS, TRS, and EBLR. That is our retirement and terminal leave pay reserve. This total number here is approximately $1.3 million more reserve usage than the current year's budget. The main driver for that is due to the lower than expected or lower than had hoped for state aid, and the fact that, like I mentioned, we are on Save Harmless. So the fortunate news here is that due to us being mindful of our costs the last several years and being conscious of our finances, we have been able to put a few dollars back in the bank the last couple of years, and this is us being able to now share it and give it back to the budget for the taxpayers to take some of that burden off of them in the future. As far as the use of the fund balance, this is what you'll sometimes hear referred to as the 4%. That's the amount you're allowed of 4% of the subsequent year's budget. So it's good to report that as of June of 25, our most recent fiscal year, we are at that 4%. It's really a good sign of our fiscal health in terms of how our external auditors view it, any credit rating agencies, whether it be, any kind of debt or short-term borrowing in the future. It's important to see that sign of financial and fiscal health that we have currently.
And that's calculated as 4% of what, Mr. Conlon?
Of the subsequent year's budget. Transportation, we have in this budget for 26-27, $1.6 million for the purchase of those buses listed. And again, that goes with the last several years' district-wide plan in terms of better service towards our community, trying to take back routes, save some money, modernize our fleet, and ultimately saving some repair costs. Facilities planning, I'll just touch on a few of these. Of course, as I mentioned, this will be on the website. So within next year's budget is a total transfer to capital of approximately $6.6 million. And the goal and the focus of the facilities committee, we meet roughly, I'd say once a month, sometimes a little more frequently, is to look at each building, what their needs are, and kind of find projects that enhance the overall student experience, the facilities, building by building, to better enhance the student and staff lives. Some of the projects just to speak to, again, you can read this at your own time. New tennis courts and additional parking over at the high school. Family and consumer science renovation over at Stimson. New playground at the Silas Wood Pre-K Center. And one other one, as we mentioned last time, boiler replacement over at Countrywood. This slide here, I'm just going to touch on a few key things. There's a lot of figures up there. But this is really a recap of the prior slides we've mentioned. If you look at the column on the left, all of those names, taxation, state aid, and so on, those are all categories and figures we've spoken about on prior slides. So the total picture on the bottom left is that $227 million number I mentioned a moment ago. But the number to draw your attention to is really the last line all the way on the far right, that 2.4%. That's really the budget to budget change. And it's really been a group effort, I have to say, in terms of the last 6 months worth of work, given the inflationary times we are all experiencing, to be able to keep that at a 2.4% rate and focused on our taxpayers and consumers' budgets, something we're very proud of in terms of the percentage we landed at and in terms of the program offerings that are still maintained within the budget. As far as the estimated tax rate, just wanted to take a second here. Again, you can read this on your own time, but what it is just want to make a distinction between the role of the Board of Education as well as the role of the town. So the Board of Education, They set the tax levy, the school tax levy, and that's really where it ends in terms of the dollars and cents. And then the town of Huntington has their assessor, which reviews every property owner's, property or homeowner's value of the property. They determine the assessed value of each individual parcel, and at that point, they're the ones that ultimately assess and value what your ultimate tax bill will be. That said, we just wanted to share some numbers up here. This is meant to just be nothing more than an illustration and an approximate. We don't have all the figures in yet, but the top portion of this screen, you'll see the various years with the assessed value in each of those years, and then a slight dollar and percentage change there in each of those categories. So about 5 or 6 lines down, you'll see in blue estimated assessed value for 26-27. That's at 41.9 million. What we traditionally do, we take last year's final assessed value, which comes to us from the town around September, and we'll back out roughly $250,000. And as you can see from the change in prior years, that's kind of been a good conservative estimate with trend analysis to kind of put us in that comfort zone. Then below that number, we have our tax levy, which I mentioned a moment ago, the $132 million, which allows us to then calculate the tax rate calculation, that $3,000 number.
And it generally only goes in one direction, assessed valuation, which is down.
That's true, that's true.
Unless you get new build, and we don't have a lot of new build opportunities in South Huntington, we're almost fully built out.
And in the last third of the slide there, where you'll see the average home assessed value, again, from left to right, we'll see anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000. That's us just trying to give you an illustrative approximate of where you may land. Everyone's home value, of course, varies. But just for argument's sake, if you go to the far left or the far right, depending what that ultimate final assessed value does come in at, but based on these estimates, you may see anywhere from a $15 to a $30 monthly change in your taxes. But again, this is more of an illustrative purpose and nothing set in stone with these figures at this point in time. The budget, this number here, again, is a recap of that prior slide. Again, I just really want to use this slide to just say thank you to both the cabinet as well as all our administrators, the building level principals, and everyone involved, because this has been a tremendous group effort the last 5 to 6 months to put this together, and a lot of stakeholder input to do our best to make sure everything is delivered to our community. If we look at this here, this is a proposition. The first proposition is always the budget itself. This proposition is really a request to the taxpayer to reallocate or repurpose funding. So a couple of years ago, if you may remember, there was a property sale. That funding was used towards the Walt Whitman High School boiler replacement this year. That project has now come in under budget. So this is merely a request to the taxpayer asking permission to reutilize that money that is unspent from the high school boiler towards the Countrywood boiler.
This is at zero cost to the taxpayer. That's very important because this money was already allocated, and so we're just trying to reallocate it for the next boiler. Boilers are very, very expensive, so luckily, hopefully this one will as well. This is for the Countrywood boiler. It completes all of our boilers through our district, and we've been able to do it really through funding through our operating budget, which is a great success. So note, propositions usually cost money. This one costs none.
Yep, thank you. That was one of the things I was going to leave it with, is this is utilizing money the district is already sitting on. So as Mr. Ciapetta said, this has zero impact to the taxpayer. District goals, we've gone through those plenty of times. And then last but not least, our next meeting, is May 6th. Clean my glasses, May 6th, which is going to be the public hearing of the budget, and then followed by our meeting on May 19th, which is the vote. With that, any questions from the board, or?
Thank you, Mr. Conway.
Thank you.
Returning to this in a moment under new business. Great job. All right, moving on to the new business agenda. I will take a motion to adopt the agenda. Is there a motion? Ms. Meyer, seconded by Ms. Clark. Any questions on the agenda? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, items E through H require one resolution for adoption. Is there a motion? Mr. Scraggs, seconded by Ms. Clark. Any questions on E through H? All right, we just want to highlight one, which is G, which is the bid for insurance broker services. Mr. Bronson, could you briefly address that? I know that you're Audit Committee had an opportunity to review these proposals.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Yes, so the district this year decided to put out for bid our insurance broker, not our insurance carrier. We did not get a bid from our incumbent, so that the incumbent was sort of out of the running. Out of the three individuals, we basically look at their recommendations as far as where the district could potentially save money, although a lot of it was also based on service. A good insurance broker is going to know our buildings, walk our grounds, et cetera there. Just as Mr. Ciapetta has mentioned, the district's been doing a lot of construction. Just as a homeowner, as you add value to your house, you have to look at your insurance, but you also have to balance and also making sure you don't over-insure because that also costs money as well. So based on the various bids, as you mentioned, Mr. Ciapetta, the audit committee met last week. It was a unanimous recommendation from the entire audit committee that we would go with Epic, which was one of the three individuals or the three groups that had put forward the RFPs. Again, there's no additional cost. If anything, it would actually be a cost savings. And again, based on the quality of the RFP, the response they provided, and the expected service, they are recommended. It would be for an agreement where the term would be renewable with an ability to exit after 1 year each year. So if for some reason we were unhappy with that particular broker that we had selected, we could go through the process again. So we're really not binding the district to anything beyond one year. And again, we expect it to be more of a cost savings than anything. So again, the audit committee would recommend to this board that we would go with Epic as our new insurance broker.
Thank you, Mr. Bronson. Thank you, Ms. Clark, as well, for your time reviewing these proposals. Any questions on the proposals from the board? All right, all in favor of items E through H? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to communications. We have a number of communications. I'll go through each one if anyone wants to address any of them. The first communication, bless you, is we have a series of communications from parents and students regarding the boys varsity wrestling program. Anyone want to address their letters? Okay. Move on to item number 2. We have email. Yeah. Oh, yes, sorry. Go ahead. All right. If you can just, when you approach, just please state your name. For the
Walter Ryan. My son Lucas is a wrestler on the women's varsity team. A few months ago, there was a letter written to the board. Basically, it's a collection of experiences the parents and the kids had over the past season. And the fact that we're able to have the coaching staff that we currently have is, like the letter says, it's the envy of all of Long Island's wrestling. I can't even tell the amount of parents that come to me when we're at private clubs or at tournaments, and they say, how did you possibly pull off getting Mike Patrovich, Adam Busiello, Dan McHugh as the coaches for this team? And I just expressed to them each time that basically we got lucky. And I thank Dr. D'Elia for going with it. And over the past season, the kids have thrived. I can't even tell you how much better my son has gotten. Mike McGinnis, young Michael, has also gotten much better. And they're all proud to be women wrestlers at this point, when in the past they never really seemed to have the enthusiasm like they have now. These coaches really bring out the best in these kids. And they really, they care for the kids, they care for the program, and they really want to make it great. And us as parents, we feel the exact same way. We don't want to ever see these guys go. We want to keep these guys for as long as we can. And just like the girls' basketball team and the boys' soccer team, they always seem to be very good. And I think in time, Mike Patrovich could make this wrestling team just as good as them and make Whitman a great wrestling community. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone else want to speak on that letter? We had a number of students who submitted anything. I don't know if the students want to address, no pressure, but just give you the opportunity. All right. Okay. Going once, twice? Okay. Move on to the next item. We had an email from a resident regarding school construction. This is a series that we've seen lately regarding local taxpayers who have concerns about schools and construction projects in general. I'll talk about this a little bit more later. This is the ongoing debate over project labor agreements. All right. We had an email communication from Erica Ingraldi, PAC 406. to Dr. Dilly and myself. They thanked us for attending their bridging ceremony. Ms. Ingraldi, are you here? No? Okay. Next, we had an email communication from an employee regarding appointment at a new position. No? Okay. It's coming up. We had an email communication from a resident regarding motorcycle racing at Silaswood, ATVs in particular. Mr. Adelman, are you here? No? Okay. We have an email communication from a resident regarding curriculum, screen time, and technology. Ms. Bobker, are you here?
Mr. Walker.
Mr. Okay.
My wife.
Oh, okay.
Quick switch for that.
Yeah, this came from your wife, but that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. My name is David Bobka. I'm speaking on behalf of my wife, Holly. We have 3 children in the district. She currently works as a cafeteria paraprofessional at Oakwood, and she serves as a board member on the Countrywood PTA. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to yourselves and the community tonight to share our perspective. I'm here tonight to raise 2 related concerns of growing significance on both the national and local level. First, the increased use of screens and educational technology in our classrooms, and second, the district's continued reliance on the iReady program, particularly the daily MyPath lessons. I believe they deserve careful consideration, given the time allotted or given the time tonight, obviously. We'll obviously be posting further insights on accessible channels, both for everyone on the board, yourselves, and everybody in the community for continued discussion. Over the past several months, we've been increasingly concerned by the growing body of research on screen use in education. One voice that stood out is Dr. Jared Cooney-Horvath, a cognitive neuroscientist who recently testified before the US Senate. In his testimony, he explained that Gen Z is the first generation in more than a century to show a decline in key cognitive measures such as attention, memory, and executive function. He attributes much of this decline to the growing use of screens, particularly in classrooms. The research he cites consistently shows that in most core academic settings, increasing screen exposure is associated with weaker learning outcomes. While digital tools can be helpful in limited, targeted situations, screens often slow learning, reduce depth of understanding, and weaken long-term retention. This isn't a reflection on teacher effort or student motivation. It's about how human cognitive develops and how digital platforms are designed to fragment attention. As with most parents, we see this play out at home in front of our own eyes. My children are in 8th, 6th, and 2nd grade, and particularly at the middle school level, nearly all work is done on a Chromebook. Very little physical work comes home, and as a parent, it makes it very difficult to see how my children are thinking, where they are making mistakes, and where they are improving, which reduces our ability to support both teachers and our children in their education and development. Education becomes reduced to just scores on a screen. We also know from decades of research and quantitative analysis that writing by hand engages the brain differently than typing, helping improve memory, comprehension, and retention. When combined with the rise of AI tools, which for all its benefits, sadly, inhibits critical thinking and other societal and environmental challenges, the current trajectory raises serious questions about how well we are supporting our students' development. And that brings me quickly to my second concern, as articulated iReady. I'm asking the district to consider the use of iReady, particularly the daily MyPath lessons. Dr. Cooney-Horvath, again, reviewed available evidence on iReady and found no high-quality independent studies showing that meaningful improvements resulted in student learning. There's one of the articles or research that we'll cite is iReady, 13 million students, 0 meaningful evidence. After more than a decade of use and millions of students, the lack of strong evidence gives cause for pause, with only a 0.8% difference in math performance and no measurable improvement in reading. It was including with a study that they shared with the authors or creators of the actual iReady program. So more concerning, however, is how iReady changes the role of formative assessment. Verified research shows that formative assessment is powerful, not because students receive immediate digital feedback, but because teachers gain insight into student thinking and can adjust instruction in real time. When assessment data guides teaching decisions, learning improves. They are afforded the opportunity to be teachers. With iReady, that feedback loop is largely removed. Teachers see summary data with not the questions, responses, or misconceptions as they develop with the students. As a result, the very mechanism that makes formative assessment effective in forming and adapting instruction is weakened. What remains is activity, but not necessarily meaningful learning. I believe our students deserve better use of their time, less screen exposure, more human interaction, and instructional approaches that are supported by strong evidence. I believe our children deserve the same opportunities that afforded us, largely helping us to get to the roles we are in today. We have an opportunity to consider the path now, rather than realizing years later that we should have changed course sooner, such as may be the case with other educational approaches recently addressed. All of this is in addition to the budgetary concerns and lack of ROI with iReady. Therefore, respectfully ask for continued and transparent discussion on this challenging and evolving issue of the reduction in screen time, a move away from iReady, and a renewed focus on learning that prioritizes human connection, teacher-led instruction, and proven educational practices. Thank you for your time on behalf of myself and my wife. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bonker. Very thoughtful letter, and I think raises some very good concerns, and want to make sure that that's part of our conversations and thinking going forward, and make sure that we aren't swinging the pendulum too far with screen time. You know, myself, I also learned a lot better by writing things down. Obviously, technology, is not going away, but we need to make sure that it doesn't dominate the classroom. So I appreciate your comments, and it's, I think it'll spur a conversation, and something the cabinet and the board will discuss this year, going into next year, to make sure that, we fine tune things. We've kind of done that across different areas. We had moved in certain area with our curriculum, and we very strong with the number of APs we offer, but we've seen recently students want more CTE, and we've responded to that, and so we've got to continue to respond to changing dynamics over time. So appreciate your letter, and thank you for your thoughts. Okay, we have an email communication from Dr. Murphy. Dr. Murphy?
Yes, this Thursday morning, we're going to be registering all our seniors to vote. We've been very fortunate to have League of Women's Voters for Huntington as well as NAACP to be every year for the last 10 years to be able to help register our students. We welcome the board to come. Every year we ask if the board would like to come and participate with us. More than happy to. I know it's early. Well, high school's early, so I can't we're doing half the students during first period, which is 7:30, the other half about 8:15. I will have a bagel for anybody who wants to come, and some coffee. Please come if you're able to do so.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. I usually don't get up at that time, so I'll have to set the alarm earlier. All right, moving on to the last communications. We have an email communication from an employee regarding charter schools and a potential board resolution. Mr. Morris, I don't see you here. No. Anyone else want to address it from SHTA? Okay. Moving along on to new business. New business item number 1 of 38 is approval for 36. Sorry. I think it still sets it right. We have secret determinations for various proposed capital projects, all of which were mentioned by Mr. Conway in his wonderful slide. Motion. Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Mr. Conway?
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Tonight for the board's approval is a secret resolution for various projects as just discussed in the presentation. They've been deemed by both our architects, BBS and H2M, as type 2 products and therefore deemed to have no significant impact on our environment.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Conway. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to item number 2, the big enchilada, the adoption of the 2026-2027 budget. Motion. Oh, nobody over there. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Ms. Clark. All right, be it resolved that the budget of $227,993,621 be adopted in the amount thereof, less state aid and other income be raised upon the taxable property of the South Huntington District. Want to thank everyone who has contributed to this budget process. Each budget process is tricky and challenging this year in particular. A lot of credit goes to our team. We had to do budget gymnastics to make this budget work. You know, as Mr. Conway mentioned, state aid went up 1%, which is really a paltry sum. We expect it to go up further, but that's just an expectation. And, you know, unfortunately, the state has, for the 5th consecutive year, been delayed on adopting their budget. They're supposed to adopt their budget by April 1st, and they haven't done it for the 5th consecutive year. Instead, they've passed budget extender after budget extender. And this is, unfortunately for Governor Hochul, this has been a trend. This is her 5th year in office and 5th late budget. Her predecessor was on time with each budget. So it's disappointing. It makes it very difficult for us to plan fiscally. This was also a challenge in many ways with 1% state aid increase, inflation, rising costs, particularly healthcare. It was an enormous challenge. Notably, the tax levy increase matches almost perfectly the budget-to-budget increase, so I think that's a sign of good budgeting. You know, fiscal planning was very strong, and to be able to accomplish this budget without any reduction in program or any layoffs is really tremendous. Look at some other districts out there; they were not so fortunate. So we're in a good spot for this year. We made it through. Each year is kind of a challenge, though. Other thoughts on the budget? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to the next item, which is really the reason we have to have this meeting on a Tuesday, because we have to vote on the Western Suffolk BOCES component budget today, which is the administrative budget. There's actually 2 components to it. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Ms. Clark. Any questions? So here it's a vote yes to adopt the administrative component. So all in favor of adopting the administrative budget? South Huntington share? Any opposed? All right. Next, we have the ballot for election to the Board of Cooperative Services. 2 candidates for 2 spots. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Bronson. The 2 candidates are Ms. Santos and Robert Scheid. Ms. Santos, who is from Amityville Union Free School District, and Robert Scheid is from the North Babylon Union Free School District. Any questions? Okay. Does everyone vote in favor of these 2 candidates? Opposed? All right. Congratulations to them. All right. Moving on to item number 5 is an appeal of a denial of homebound instruction. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg. This was a matter that was discussed in executive session. We received an appeal from a student seeking homebound instruction due to medical condition. All in favor of the appeal? All opposed to the appeal? Okay, the appeal is rejected. Moving on to item number 6, a resolution speaking in favor of Senate bill and an Assembly bill. I'll discuss in a moment more. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Bronson. So this, we've been talking about fiscal pressures. There is a bill in the Senate and the Assembly which would help significantly and supported greatly by the Nassau Suffolk School Boards Association. It's Bill S75624 and Assembly Bill A8539. And this is legislation that would allow school districts to borrow against their own reserves to offset TAN funding. So just to explain a little bit further, due to cash flow shortages, in particular when we get our state aid allotment and when we get our property taxes from the town of Huntington, the school district has to borrow money and pay interest on it to pay our bills because our revenue hasn't come in yet. So in that last year, and can cost us, $1 to $2 million a year, and it's just to borrow money to pay bills. So it's kind of a waste. So this bill would allow Board of Eds to borrow against their existing reserves, obviously at no interest, and then when they get the state aid and their town tax money, they would pay back back themselves essentially. So this could be an enormous savings, hopefully, if it passes. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to item number 7 is the approval of a defense and indemnification agreement. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Clark. This was a matter discussed in executive session. It's a defense and indemnification agreement for an employee who was sued. And it resolves that the board will defend and indemnify named employee. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to item number 8 is the approval of our Board of Education meetings for the 2026-2027 school year. Is there a motion? Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Scragg. The dates are listed. Our annual organization meeting would be on July 8th. As what has become normal, we have 2 August meetings. First meeting of the school year would be in September 16th. We have 2 September meetings, 2 October meetings, 1 November, 1 December, and on and on. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Item number 9, approval of our 2026-2027 property tax report card. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Ms. Clark. Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Ms. Ciapetta. Tonight for the board's approval is the 26-27 property tax report card as required by law. It's essentially a side-by-side snapshot of the current 25-26 budget versus the proposed 26-27 budget, excuse me. It also provides a recap of the reserves we're proposing to utilize in the upcoming budget. Once approved, we would submit this to the SCD tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. And any questions on the property tax report card? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we're moving on to item number 10 is the approval of a budget transfer in the amount of $35,000. That's the amount that triggers board approval. Is there a motion? Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Oh, Mr. Conway?
Thank you. As you mentioned, this board request is to approve a transfer for the purchase of library furnishings for the new Memorial 6th Grade Center.
Okay. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. All right, the next is adoption of board policies and abolition of board policies. So we're approving board policies 6700 and 2200. Oh, thank you, Mr. Smith. A little air. And abolition of board policies 1611, 5411, 5412, 5413, 5414, and 5430. Is there a motion? Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Scragg. All right. The policy committee has met. They have reviewed these. Policy 2200 is the budget vote and school board elections. Nothing really special, just amending it to make everything up to date and consistent with current practice. And then policy 6700, which is very significant. It's our purchasing policy. This has taken months to get right, and it's very good shape. The procurement is an incredibly important policy because this is how we buy all of our goods and services and our capital projects as well. So we had to make sure that we were using the current language and that our purchasing policy matches what's happening in practice. And I think it's very good now, really lays out very clearly when competitive bidding is required, when competitive bidding is not required, and how to procure other things like professional services and whatnot. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Bronson, for your work on that policy as well. All right, moving on to item number 12 is the approval of a new course. Ms. Kavanaugh had mentioned that earlier. This is at the 6th grade center. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Ms. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval this evening, we have a request to approve a new course for Memorial 6th Grade Center for the 26-27 school year. This full year alternate day elective will be offered as an alternative to general art and will focus on foundational design principles, digital illustration, and essential digital skills like cloud storage and collaboration. Existing staff would be utilized for this course, and it has been vetted and approved by the Curriculum Council.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to, thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh, for your work on that. Moving on to item 13 is the approval of a contract for fiber service. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Ms. Clark. Ms. Kavanaugh again.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval tonight, the Technology Department is requesting approval to enter into a 5-year contract with LightPath via Western Suffolk BOCES for a dark fiber connection between the district office and Memorial 6th Grade Center. This agreement would provide 6 dedicated fiber strands to ensure that the 6th Grade Center achieves the same network capacity and redundancy and reliability of the other buildings in the district.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Kavanaugh. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to item 14, we begin now a series of health service agreements, and the first is between South Huntington and Uniondale. Motion. Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Yes, it's that time of year where these agreements are pretty plentiful. This one here, though, is for the board to approve, if so, for South Huntington and Uniondale, for services they're providing, health services they're providing to 15 students attending Kellenberg, 2 students attending the Hebrew Academy of Nassau County, and all of these students live within our district.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to item 15, approval of a health service agreement between South Huntington and Deer Park. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Clark. Mr. Conway.
Thank you. The request tonight is for the board to approve a contract between South Huntington and Deer Park Schools for services they're providing for 7 students attending Our Lady of Guadalupe West Campus. These folks also reside in our district.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? And item 16, another health service agreement, this time between South Huntington and Westbury. Motion. Mr. Bronson, second. Mr. Scragg. Mr. Conway.
Yes, as you mentioned, this is from between South Huntington and Westbury School District for health services they're providing to 3 children attending St. Bridget's Schools, 3 attending Holy Child Academy, and 2 attending Holy Family Academy. Again, all reside in our district.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to next item of new business, approval of a health service agreement between South Huntington and the Jericho Union Free School District. Excuse me, is there a motion? Ms. Scragg, seconded by Ms. Clark. Mr. Conway again.
Thank you. Between South Huntington and Jericho School District, this would be for health services they're providing to 2 students, attending Long Island Lutheran. Again, these children live in our district.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Next, approval of health service agreement between South Huntington and West Islip Union Free School District. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Ms. Clark. Mr. Conway once again.
Okay. Between South Huntington and West Islip, this would be for health services they're providing to 1 student attending St. John the Baptist High School and 2 children attending St. Bridges Academy, And again, these children live within South Huntington.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. We've made it through the halfway mark. Item 19, approval of, health care service agreement between South Huntington and Plainview Old Bethpage Central School District. Motion. Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Mr. Conway.
Okay, the last health service one is between South Huntington and Plainview Old Bethpage School District. The health services they would be providing to 1 student attending Merkaz Academy.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
One student on this one.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to new business. Item 20 is approval of a multi-year service agreement between South Huntington and Western Suffolk BOCES. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Clark. Mr. Conway, we'll stay with you.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Tonight, for the board's approval, is a multi-year service agreement between South Huntington and Western Suffolk BOCES. This particular agreement relates to various technology and photocopy leases. It goes from the school year 26-27 through 30-31. Just a couple points worth noting. Ownership remains with Western Suffolk BOCES. They do provide and install all hardware and software, and BOCES does install, they carry insurance, while they're installing this equipment.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business item number 21, approval of an energy performance contract amendment. Number 2, motion. Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. So tonight for the board's approval is a second extension request for our EPC financing with Bank of America. The initial acquisition period is related to the EPC. the district signed in May of '23 was until November of 2025. In December of 2025, the board approved the first extension, which moved the acquisition period to April 1st of this year. Due to the fact there are still some small outstanding items, we're currently working with the contractor, in this case Johnson Controls, as well as H2M, our architect, and our attorneys to bring these items to a close. That said, Bank of America has granted an extension, which will give us additional time to make final payment and close out the CPC project. This new extension, acquisition period is 5 days prior to September 1st.
Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, moving on to item number 22 is approval of an affiliation agreement between South Huntington and SUNY Farmingdale. Is there a motion? Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Mr. Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the Board of Education's approval is this agreement with Farmingdale University Nursing Program to allow their students to complete their fieldwork and practicum hours with our district.
Great. All right. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, now we have a memorandum of agreement coming up. Motion. Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Mr. Smith, memorandum of agreement, a revision with the SHTA.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the Board of Education's approval is this agreement with the South Huntington Teachers Association. This agreement amends the retirement incentive previously approved on February 11th, 2026 by the Board of Education. This agreement maintains the same language as the previous one and only adjusts the threshold of retirees from 16 to 15 members.
Okay, great. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Adopted unanimously. Moving on to new business item number 24 begins our series of scholarships. Excuse me, motion, there is a Linda Taylor scholarship. Is there a motion? Mr. Brunson, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Dr. D'Elia.
Yes, for the board's approval, we have the Visiting Nurse Service and Hospice of Suffolk will be awarding a $2,000 scholarship award to a student who has demonstrated academic achievement and is pursuing a career in the field of nursing. It is presented in honor of Linda Taylor, the former CEO of Visiting Nurse Service and Hospice of Suffolk County.
Okay, very generous. Thank you. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business item 25, approval of a scholarship by the General Student Organization. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Dr. D'Elia?
Yes, another very generous donation for the board's approval. The General Student Organization Scholarship is awarded to a graduating senior who exemplifies values of leadership, collaboration, and service within their schools and community. And they are 3 scholarships in total for $1,000 each.
Great. Do we know where, Dr. Murphy, where this comes from, the funds? Is this out of their organization, or? Okay, great. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? That was nice, first time. All right, and moving on to the next is a Love and Serve Award from the Huntington Assembly of God. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Ms. Clark. Dr. D'Elia.
Yes, for the board's approval, we have from the Assembly of God, Pastor Dan Rivera, 2 scholarships in the amount of $500 each will be awarded to students on behalf of the Assembly of God Church.
Okay, thank you. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? It is unanimous. Moving on to the next item of new business is the appointment of election officials for our May 19th budget vote and board elections. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg. All right, this appoints Dana Chaffee, Baldwin High School PTA President, as the chair. Ms. Caliendo is the clerk of the meeting. Chief Election Inspector is Kelly Twist, and then there's appoints a number of other inspectors, district inspectors, and Suffolk County election inspectors as well. And the election inspectors get paid $17 per hour. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? None. All right. Next is a companion resolution for the appointment of replacement election workers. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Bronson. This is something that we do annually. It authorizes the superintendent district clerk to appoint substitute or replacement employees in the event that one of the aforementioned individuals that we just approved is unable to attend. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to item number 29 is a donation from Vicki Dolan and the Walden High School Art Development Fund. Motion. Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Dr. D'Elia.
Yes, Vicki Dolan, who runs our arts and crafts fair in the fall here at Walt Whitman High School. It's another very generous donation of $15,000. And the purpose of it will be for the 9/11 Plaza upon approval from the Board of Ed.
Thank you, Dr. D'Elia. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 30 is the approval of a resolution by the Board of Education with respect to charter schools. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Clark. All right, this is a resolution that we've been discussing, a very important resolution, and I'll read it because I think it's important, as I said. Whereas charter schools and public school districts are funded with public funds through taxation, whereas the expenditure and budgets of public school districts are overseen by elected boards of education, which are accountable to the public, and whereas the budgets of fiscally independent school districts are approved by the citizens of the communities that they serve. Further, whereas charter schools divert public funds from all public school districts that have resident students attending charter schools, and the diversion of public funds adversely impacts the budgets of all school districts that have resident children attending charter schools. And charter school expenditures are not overseen by an elected school board that is accountable to the public. And further, whereas charter school budgets are not approved by school districts or the citizens of the affected communities. And lastly, whereas charter schools are routinely permitted to open even where they do not have the approval of voters of impacted communities. Therefore, be it resolved that the South Huntington School District advocate for legislation requiring all charter applications to be approved by the local voters of impacted communities prior to submission to the relevant state chartering entity. There's been a proliferation of these charter schools in recent years, and that is to the detriment of public schools, and not a welcome development, and it's diverting funding for sure. Any questions on this one? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and we will send that to our elected officials, expressing our support for that legislation, opposition to charter schools in general. Next item is recommendations to the placement of students by the Committee on Special Education and the Committee on Preschool Special Education. We have various dates listed in January, February, March, April of this year. Motion. Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 32, is the approval of an out-of-district placement. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Tonight for the board's approval, this contract and placement is for a student who recently moved to the South Huntington School District. This is a continuation of the placement recommended by the student's previous district. The South Huntington School District does not currently have an appropriate in-district program.
Okay, this matter was discussed in executive session where the placement was discussed further. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to item number 33 is approval of data and privacy agreements. Is there a motion? Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Dr. Hendry, you've been waiting patiently there.
I have, thank you. Number 33. Tonight, thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Tonight for the board's approval is a student data and privacy agreement with ORI Learning to ensure that we remain EdLaw 2D compliant. ORI Learning is our new SEL curriculum that will be used at the high school.
Thank you. Yeah, border went down the wrong way. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Adopted unanimously. Moving on to item number 34 is a resolution regarding the approval of the naming of spaces at Memorial consistent with Board of Education policy. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Clark and Mr. Scragg. We've got everybody involved in this one. This is an interesting one. We've been discussing the opening of Memorial recently, and which is very exciting. It's a historically important building. And consistent with that, our Public Relations Department has done some outreach in conjunction with the Historical Society and the Town of Huntington Historian to research our building's history, as well as the history of South Huntington schools and neighboring areas, to look at residents who have made significant contributions to either the school district or specifically, or lived in the town of Huntington and made contributions as well to the school district by their work. And the Board of Education is desirous of naming certain spaces after certain individuals. At Memorial, we have 3 beautiful courtyards and then a beautiful layout in the front of the building. So the recommendation is to name these after 4 individuals. George Washington Brush, who is the only individual from the town of Huntington to ever receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. The front plaza, Veterans Plaza, which Mr. Conway spoke about, would be named after him. And then the interior courtyards would be named after Harry Chapin, Grammy-winning singer-songwriter known for humanitarian work. Ida Samus Woodruff Satchel, who was a trailblazer and a prominent suffragist, and the first woman ever elected to serve in the New York State Legislature. And Henry Scudder, a patriot of the American Revolution who helped frame the New York State Constitution and served several terms in the New York State Legislature. Whereas the layout of the building contains courtyards, and therefore be resolved, the Board of Education, consistent with Board Policy 7500, names as future Veterans Plaza after George Washington Brush, and further dedicates 3 courtyards in honor of Harry Chapin, Ida Samus Woodruff Satchel, and Henry Scudder. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? That'll be part of our grand opening next year. All right. Next, moving on to approval of a contract. Motion. Mr. Scraggs, seconded by Mr. Bronson. This is for the construction of a media center at Walden High School. Dr. D'Elia.
Yes. For the board's approval, an award letter from our architects, H2M, to award the contract for the TV studio to Crossroads Construction Corp. And this is something that was approved for this school year as a capital project. And we've gone through all the state permits, and now they're ready to work because we have a contract. And I know Dr. Murphy has scheduled a course, so he's wants to start it ASAP, because in September, the TV studio, we plan on having it active and students engaged in coursework relating to it. Very exciting.
Thank you, Dr. D'Elia. Great job. All in favor? Any opposed? And item number 36 is approval of a retirement incentive. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Clark. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the Board of Education's approval is this memorandum of agreement with our custodial grounds and maintenance unit. This agreement provides for a retirement incentive for all members hired on or before August 7th, 1996, reducing the employee's contribution for health in retirement from 15% to 5%.
Okay, great. And it requires six eligible workers, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great. Any questions? Matter discussed in executive session. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, that brings us to the conclusion of our new business agenda. Personnel. We have personnel schedules 2, 3, 6, 9, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, and 22. Is there a motion? Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Just point the board and our audience to schedule number 3, which had 2 significant appointments. The first, want to congratulate Jessica Gomez, who will be the new assistant principal at Birchwood Intermediate School. And Ms. Gomez was one of the correspondents earlier regarding appointment of new positions, so I wanted to save the surprise. Ms. Gomez, would you like to say anything?
First of all, I just want to thank the Board of Education and the Cabinet. Video. Just thank you. I am so excited and honored to continue to serve the South Huntington community as I have in the last 2 decades, and equally just feeling grateful for this opportunity to work alongside Mr. Bernadale and support the faculty, the staff, and students of Birchwood. I'm very excited for this new chapter in my profession. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations. Excellent. We wish you much success in that position. We know you're going to do a great job. You had a phenomenal interview with us, Your commitment to South Huntington was so impressive, and we know you're going to be a great match with Mr. Bernadelle. Birchwood is in good hands. And just another, more of a change. We have Mr. Kenneth Costa. He will be next year our Memorial Sixth Grade Center Assistant Principal, with Mr. Oblitz moving over to, and remaining rather, at Silas Wood as the Silas Wood Pre-K Assistant Principal. And Dr. Bernardo, Dr. Bernardo, getting tired, sorry.
No, he was here tonight. He is a friend, but it's now. I'm in my fifth year.
Yeah.
Could understand in year one. All right,
shadow.
we'll talk later. All right.
But if you could discuss the administration changes and the fact that it's actually a reduction.
Yes, it absolutely is a reduction. Mr. Costa was currently in the role of Supervisor of General Services. With that, he's leaving to become Memorial Sixth Grade Assistant Principal, but in his old role, we will redistribute and do within administration to pick up the pieces there. But we're excited for him to be in this role, to work with Mr. Toto. And the great thing about him being over at Memorial is that he's been a major piece of the remodeling of Memorial. He's very involved in the working with the construction end of it. And, so I think Mr. Toto will feel very comfortable when he's there. When if there's an issue within the building, Mr. Costa will definitely have the answer. And the building does look great as well. So we're excited for Ms. Gomez and for Mr. Costa being in his new spot.
His office is already set up.
He's already in it.
All right, good. Congratulations to both. Audit Committee meeting, Mr. Bronson.
I'll keep it brief because most of that meeting was basically focused on the insurance RFP. The other two items that we covered were our claims audit, which I will say has been particularly good the past several months as far as any issues. On top of it, our internal auditors are in the middle of a food service audit, which has gone very well. Feedback's been very positive, thanks to Ms. Busey and her team and others that worked on that audit. So we've not wrapped it up yet. The final report will probably come out this summer. But again, so far, all good.
Thank you, Mr. Bronson. Facilities Committee, I'll likewise make it as brief as I can. Facilities Committee met on March 19th. We discussed facilities planning and the capital projects that Mr. Conway discussed earlier. Just want to highlight a couple of them because I think they're significant. We're beginning our landscape beautification improvements at Walton High School, at Memorial, and at Silas Wood. This will result in the removal of some antiquated plantings with some new colorful landscaping. I think it'll bring a touch of class to the frontage of our buildings. That's one significant project I want to talk about. Second is Country. We mentioned the boiler replacement. This is a significant project. Not something anyone is ever going to see, and a lot of money, but we need heat in the buildings. Silas Wood, we're getting our second playground there, so that will be ready because each playground actually has kind of two components to it. So you'll be able to have 4 classrooms out at any time. The play area is very important to the pre-K, so we're adding a second one. Over Memorial, we're completing some work there to be ready for the start of the school year, and really, pretty much that building, as you'll see when you tour it, is ready to go, and probably good for the next 10 years without the need for improvements. Over at Stimson Middle School, we've promised some significant improvements over there, and we're working on that. This year presents the first step. Our library will get a much-needed renovation, largely to be done by in-house work, but also supplementing some funds to replace the casework and circulation desk. And particularly exciting is a much-needed renovation to the 2 family and computer science classrooms. This is a major project. It'll be the complete demolition of those rooms, which are beyond antiquated. You'll see just a much better learning and teaching space. You'll see new appliances there, and just a state-of-the-art center. So that unfortunately takes a while to do because it'll take every bit of the whole summer to do. So we'll have to wait until next summer to do that. But that is on the horizon. And Also, some work over at Walman High School. We are relocating our tennis courts from their existing spot. We just haven't been able to maintain them. They're constantly cracking and starting to present a safety hazard for our students that are playing there. So they'll be relocated to the back of the high school by the McDonald's entrance, which will also allow for some much needed additional parking spaces. That's kind of the some of the highlights there. In addition to that, we discussed the upcoming Silas Wood pre-K refurbishment. We've spent a lot of time on Memorial over the course of a year because we didn't have students in there, but the Silas Wood refurbishment is going to have to take place in probably a couple months. So as soon as school begins, our team will be in there, and they're going to be ripping out old cubbies and spackling and painting and getting it ready. So there's going to be infusion of staff there working on that. And we also began a outdoor painting pilot over at Silas Wood in the little courtyard to see if a different color other than that mustard yellow would make the building look nice. So we're going to see the results of that. And we're discussing our water fountain placements and our old porcelain fountains throughout the building to make sure that, that we're starting to replace them with the automatic bottle fillers. And that concludes my report. Future meetings are listed. May 6th, we will have our last component of the budget, which is the public hearing of the budget, opportunity for the public to address the board. And then May 19th is our budget vote, board elections, 2 to 9 p.m. over Walman High School. And during the board meeting, we'll be recognizing the Michael Curtin Citizen Award winners. Comments by board members? Mr. Scragg.
I just want to congratulate the students and staff at Oakwood. I had the opportunity to go to their performance last night of Go Fish. And I'm always just amazed at how some of our youngest students have so much confidence to perform in front of their friends and family. So congratulations to the students and the staff that made it happen by working with the students over time. So,
Chris, great. Any other comments? All right. Dr. D'Elia. I got it right.
Thank you. All right, just real quickly, I know there was an article in Newsday yesterday regarding accountability status, and South Huntington was named as one of the school districts. I just want to read a brief statement to the community. The New York State Education Department recently released its accountability ratings under the Every Student Succeeds Act. As you know, last year our district was designated as a target district, and Silas Wood was identified as a target school, primarily due to the performance of our English language learners compared to their peers statewide. In response, we implemented a comprehensive school-wide and district-wide improvement plan, and we are pleased to report that Silas Wood demonstrated significant progress during the last testing cycle. While state education requires 2 consecutive years of improvement to exit the designation, meaning we remain a target school and district for 25-26, the data shows our efforts are working, and we fully expect to return to good standing next year. This process has served as an opportunity to collaborate with our staff, students, and parents to enhance all of our programs. When we're talking about 3 to 8 state testing, it's somewhat flawed because, as we know, there's an opt-out and you don't have 100% of students taking the test. So to say it's an apples-to-apples assessment is incorrect. So that's part of what we're dealing with when we're talking about 3 to 8 testing as well. And I know in reading the article, other superintendents did make some they highlighted those points as well. So we're going to continue doing what's best for our students, and we are working. And I can, Ms. Kavanaugh, Ms. Dr. Hender, and all of our staff, our teachers, thank you so much, especially Ms. Rasdale. Thank you for all the great work you guys are doing. And that's what it's all about. So we're going to continue to keep doing the great work we have to do for the students that come before us.
Thank you, Dr. D'Elia, for explaining that. I think it was, point of, it was newsworthy, but, we're in good company. There's a lot of great districts that are on that list. Unfortunately with the opt-outs, we get punished on it, but thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, also, I'd like to congratulate the person sitting right to my left here. Mr. Ciapetta has been identified by SANES as a friend of education. Now, that's a very significant award. Very few people in the state receive that award. And Mr. Ciapetta's over 2 decades of dedication to this community as a board member are being recognized by the entire state. So we look forward on May 1st to celebrating up in Albany with Mr. Ciapetta for this well-deserved award.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. And I just want to finish up by saying thank you to everybody in the business department and the entire district for putting this budget together. When I know tonight there's a lot of painful discussions going on in a lot of districts with a lot of excessing, taking down programs, cutting, making up a $3 million gap. And here in South Huntington, we're not doing that. We're not cutting programs. We're putting in a brand new pre-K center. We're opening up a new building for our 6th graders. There's a lot to be proud of what we have going on here in South Huntington. And if you take a moment, just step back. See, I live in this world, so I'm communicating with other superintendents and some of their very difficult decisions that they have to make with their boards of education. So I also want to thank our board here for being collaborative and giving us direction and working together with the same goal in mind. And here in South Huntington, it's okay to pump your fist in the air because we're doing great things. Okay, it's not that way in a lot of other places. So, thank you, Mr. Conway, for all your work and presenting and all those slides we've gone through. We've worked very hard, and we're proud, for the board adopting a budget that we believe is fair and effective for our community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. D'Elia. Great job. Thank you for the shout out, and thank you for your leadership. I think one of the hallmarks of what we do here is, and this is exemplified by the budget process and all the presentations tonight, it's not what have we done lately, it's what are we going to do in the future. We're always looking to what's the next thing that's going to make this district better, and that's I appreciate your leadership in that regard. Also, just want to note on the wall there, if everyone can take a look, remember last year when we celebrated our 100th anniversary, we put the pieces of the puzzle together from all of our buildings, and each building contributed a beautiful puzzle piece. It's finally, the puzzle fit, and it's all together, so it's a beautiful, thank God it fit together, right? Bad. So it looks good, great, and it'll be a symbol for the next 100 years. All right. Voice of the resident. Any residents like to speak? Most are probably almost ready for bed right now. So, all right.
Yes, it's bedtime.
Who's that?
Dr. Murphy.
Oh, Dr. Murphy. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dr. Murphy. You got to get up in like 3 hours. So. All right. Any further comments? Take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Scraggs, seconded by Ms. Clark and Mr. Bronson. All in favor? Any opposed?
Give your arms a rest tonight.